This is Tata Rompepecho, and welcome back to the Tata's Cave podcast. First, I wanted to apologize. This episode is actually coming a bit late. That's because I had some computer problems, pretty big actually, but I went ahead and solved that, and we're back now. So on this episode, we're going to be discussing Espiritismo, Misas, Bovedas. Now, in the last episode, I briefly mentioned it, but I didn't go into too much detail. And that's because this is such an in-depth kind of subject that it just deserves its own episode. Because it would just confuse you if we just mix it in with the other stuff. So, what exactly is Espiritismo? Espiritismo is Spanish for Spiritism. Now, the more formal name is Mesa Blanca Spiritismo, so Spiritism of the White Table. That's what it translates to. And it's called that because the actual bóveda, the vault or the altar that we use in Espiritismo, is covered in white. So you would have some sort of like a table linen or something of that sort on top of the table, covering it up so that it's a nice white table, and then you set your altar on top of that. So that's why we call it Mesa Blanca Spiritismo. It wasn't originally founded by Allan Kardec, contrary to what most people believe. He actually, what Allan Kardec did was he studied other people that were already spiritual, that already had connections to their ancestors and the spirit guides. And through those studies, he wrote books about it, documenting what exactly his findings were. And then he took credit for their spirituality and their spiritual practices. So that's the origin of Espiritismo. And then what exactly is a bóveda? A bóveda is like a vault. Actually speaking, the word bóveda translates from Spanish to English as vault. Um, so it's the actual altar that's used in Espiritismo. So this altar is all inclusive of all spirits, as so long as they have good intentions towards the person setting it up and everyone in the household. So Bovedas aren't like other altars in a sense of with other altars they're very personal to the person setting it up. A Boveda is all inclusive for everyone in the household. So if you have children, a spouse, maybe even a parent that you're taking care of, as long as spirits come with good intentions towards all of them, then they can come to the Boveda altar for light and clarity. And this had to be done mainly because, see, in Cuba, there was a lot of people that had mixed bloodlines. And when you have these mixed bloodlines, don't get me wrong, ancestral veneration is a beautiful thing. But, and this is a big but, if you only venerate ancestors and you have a mixed bloodline, then there's spirits that you could be leaving out that you do not know of that could help you, but you don't allow them to. So the Boveda is to counteract that. So we know we have a mixed bloodline. Let's be more inclusive of other spirits that we might not be aware of. It's kind of like saying ancestors known and unknown, or spirit guides known and unknown. This is some light and clarity for you to help you level up so that you can help me level up. So what exactly a misa is actually something that's very very simple and complicated at the same time. So the misa is literally translated to mass in English. So it's like a church mass, but it's not for the living, it's for the dead. So this mass consists of prayers, songs, and calling down of all the beings of light, aka good spirits, good beings, good spirit guides, good ancestors, good spirits to come to this reunion and to speak to the mediums that are present and deliver any messages. Now, these spirits can come down and show themselves, or they can talk directly, or they can give some sort of like a message through, someone's intuition. There's many ways in which these spirits can come down and communicate. They don't just talk. Um, Pretty much every single type of communication is available to them. It's more so what the people present at the reunion can perceive. It's not so much what the spirits can do. Um, so during this reunion, we have a lot of back and forth between the people that are present. And what's going on is they're all sharing messages that they get, no matter how small they might be. It could be something along the lines of, hey, my left foot is starting to itch. Um, I don't know why. And then that one tiny little message, to someone else clear across the room, they might have had an uncle that had his left foot amputated for whatever reason. And so that would be confirmation of their uncle's presence at this reunion. So no matter how small the messages are, they get relayed. Now, this reunion doesn't just help the spirits, it also helps the people present, aka the mediums. So misas are by design, the way they are practiced, the way they are held, by design, they're specifically catered towards giving everyone present the messages that they need to have, while at the same time giving everyone that's present light and clarity so that they can sharpen their mediumship, so that they can get better and better and better as time progresses. And the more misas you attend, the better you get at communicating with these spirits. And see, when you have a misa, you're establishing a time and a place. So I've seen several celebrity, quote unquote, psychic mediums. Um, I won't call anyone out by name, but I will say that they're completely at the mercy they're completely at the mercy of the spirits, right? They can't even go shopping. They can't do anything without the spirits just bombarding them with, "Hey, do this, say that. Hey, talk to this person. Hey." um and that's because they don't have any boundaries. They never established a place and a time. So these spirits tend to take over their life. So this person can't live their own life. No matter how much they try, it's just not possible for them. Now, when you start off with Espiritismo and you do misas and misas and misas, you're establishing a clean boundary. Hey, look, I'm willing to talk to you, I'm willing to work with you, but, but there's a time and a place for it. When I call on you, you can come and tell me whatever you got to tell me, and we can work on it together. Now, when I didn't call on you, I'm gonna need you to relax because I still have a life to live. I want to be able to go outside. I want to be able to go shopping. I want to enjoy time with my family. This is not the time for that. So you'll notice that a lot of people that do not practice espiritismo, they do have mediumship. I'm not doubting whether people can actually be mediums or not, but what they're doing is it's raw mediumship. There is no teaching there. There is no wisdom behind it. There is no full understanding of how this should be structured so that a person can lead a good, happy life. And that's because, well, nowadays a lot of people find that they have spiritual gifts and they arbitrarily decide that that's it, that now they know all there is to know about these gifts. But there are certain secrets to these gifts that you might find across the world, in the hands of someone that you would have thought completely unlikely to have these secrets. And if you would be willing to listen, and understand what it is that they're trying to impart on you, then all of a sudden you already had the gifts, but now this person is giving you the manual that should have come with these gifts. So they're helping you get your own gifts under control. And that's really what Espiritismo is. It's really more so um it's not to activate people's mediumships. It's not to make people mediums by force. No, no. Even though it definitely can, but It's more so the manual. It's more so the science, the tradition, the foundation with which you shape your mediumship to be able to sharpen it and um, really get you further in your spiritual journey. So that's really the practice. It's gonna be misas, um, a disturbing amount of misas, an completely obscene amount of misas. In my younger days, like we would go and do misas almost every day of the week. Um, and it was a beautiful thing, but it was also very tedious. For a while there, I could have sworn that I didn't see any kind of like a benefit from it, and I felt like I was just going in circles, just going in circles, going in circles, didn't see any benefit. And then one day, my elders that taught me sat me at a misa that was a public misa. Um, and they sat me at one of the heads of the table, which, if you don't know what this is, it's so at a misa you set up the chairs in almost like a sun or like a half sun around the white table, and then the two ends connect back to the table. So the table has two ends to it if it's a rectangular table, and then one chair on either side of that rectangle. And then the other chairs basically connect those in like a half sun, right? The two chairs that are directly up against the table, they call those the head of the table because they are the closest to the table. And the chairs closest to the table will carry the most energy. So if you're very sensitive to energies, or maybe not, maybe you're trying to advance quicker, because you feel that you already have the ability, but what you need is more advancement, then you want to sit closer to the head of the table. But anyway, so one day they took me to this public misa, and there was quite a bit of people. So keep in mind, this was pre-COVID by a long shot. This was when I was younger. Um, the Misa had, I would guesstimate somewhere around 50 people present, and they sat me at the head of the table, and I was completely nervous, and I was like, man, I haven't been feeling any progress for over 3 months. I feel like I've just been going in circles, and now they're gonna sit me at the head of the table. This is nonsense. This is crazy. So they sat me there, and they started the Misa, and most interesting thing happened. I snapped off. I snatched. There was 50 people there. I snatched 50 wigs that day. Everyone had their jaws wide open. They were like, "Holy, whoa, whoa! This young buck really just came in here and just destroyed even the old heads." And everyone was amazed, and they were like, "Well, how are you this powerful of a medium? How are you this strong, this good at Espiritismo?" And my answer was even more shocking to them. I told them I didn't know I was this good. Because all it was my elders just kept repeating, just do misas, 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 non-stop. I just kept doing misas every day. Um, and with those, that's how I developed the abilities. And I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I would consider myself a smart person, and I'm aware that not everyone has the same capacity that I have. But, but I definitely do resonate with the statement of, if I can do this, you definitely can too. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how motivated are you to do this. Um, so it's definitely possible. I've seen, oh man, some of the most unlikely people become absolutely destructive at a Misa event, and all it took was practice. completely unassuming. You would think nothing of them. Completely quiet. It's the mouse in the room. You know, that one person that, there's a party going on, and they're the one all the way in the back of the room holding up the wall, basically. Um, that person, I've seen that person in the room become the main medium sitting at the head of a table at a misa, all through just practice. None of it was because they did this or that ceremony on them. Um, so that's misas, and there's variations to misas, namely two. Let's talk on three variations to the misas, right? So there's the normal misa. A normal misa really is exactly how I described it before. It's just a half circle around the white table, everyone's sitting in chairs, um, and we're just going around in general, just delivering whatever messages come to us in general. Excuse me. Um, then there is the investigation misa, and the investigation misas are a bit different. So you still do the investigation. Misa is you still do the normal circle, but then you add one chair in the middle. So think of almost like a donut, the hole in the middle. So there's one chair in the middle, and then that person is sitting there. The person being investigated sits there, and the central focus for everyone else in the room is this person and their spirits. So now you're in this room with however many mediums, and they are all hyper focused on you and your spirits. So it's a very big deal. It's very impactful. It's very life changing to have these investigation misas done. And then there's the third variation, which is what we call the coronation misa. So a coronation misa is very similar to an investigation misa. You still do all the other steps like investigation, but at the end, there's a special ceremony that's done on the person that was being investigated. And that ceremony involves coronation um, of their spirit guide. So one specific spirit guide is given the reins or the authority over all the other spirits that a person has. So think of it like this: if you have 30 spirits, um, and you don't have any kind of coronation or any kind of traditional ceremonies establishing a hierarchy between them, they are 30 spirits, and in their minds and in their attitude, they are all equals. So you will have 30 spirits that go in 30 different directions. And don't get me wrong, that might be good for certain scenarios, but there are certain scenarios, a vast majority of scenarios where that's a bad thing. You don't have your full team giving your full undivided attention to your problems because you have this side of the team thinking that's more of a priority, that side of the team wanting to do that, this side of the team is offended with that side. We're all over the place. We're not looking good as a team. Now, when you do a coronation ceremony, you're establishing a hierarchy. This spirit is the head honcho, and they will establish the rest of, hey, this is what we're doing, this is how we're doing it. So when you do speak to your spirit guides and you speak to your spirits, you have that one main spirit that you can give specific instructions to. You can ask for specific assistance. So if you have that one spirit that is in, the head honcho, they're in control of things, then you can directly focus your entire team on specific situations. For example, you have that one family member that ended up in the hospital. You can turn to that one specific spirit, and through that one spirit, your the entire team, all at once, focuses on getting that family member out the hospital. So you don't have two over here, two over there, three over there. All of them are focusing on that one task. So it does help greatly. It changes a person's entire life to have the correct spiritual practices, and that's why coronation is such a big deal. Um, However, coronation should only really happen once in your lifetime, right? So you only get the coronation through Espiritismo once and done. Um, Now you can attend other people's coronations because it's a beautiful event. Trust me, the actual ceremony itself is beautiful. Um, but you only get the coronation once. Now keep in mind the entirety of Espiritismo is open to the public. So there is no initiation boundary or I guess you could say barrier keeping people out. Um, if there is a misa going on, if there is some sort of an espiritismo event, you don't need any kind of an initiation, sorry about that, to be present or to participate. You can actually show up at a misa having never been at one before, sit down, they read the prayers, sing the songs, and then you immediately, upon your first 10 minutes there, start receiving messages, and you just start delivering messages like, wait, I've been here before. No, no, I haven't, but my spirits know what this is, and they can deliver messages like that, and there is no barrier. So that's the beauty of Espiritismo. There's no barriers keeping people out, um, but because of that, we've had um, several practices that have been very destructive to what exactly Espiritismo should have been. And what I'm talking about is mixing. Um, so people have historically mixed Espiritismo with other things, and when they do this, it's a betrayal to both Espiritismo and whatever other thing they're mixing it with. And the reason I'm saying that is because then it doesn't become either or, it becomes a third thing. It becomes something new that shouldn't have been. Um, for example, Santerismo. I know I did mention it in the last episode, but let's go over this real quick. So, Espiritismo has 7 glasses, 7 commissions. Now, these commissions are, let's say, categories of spirits. That's what the commissions really are. They're categories. Um, when you have Santerismo, all of a sudden that 7 becomes 9. And the explanation given is because the Orisha Oya's number is 9. And since she deals with the dead, she deals with spirits, so the number should be 9. But there's no explanation as to what each one does. We just go by 9. That's it. That's all you get. You don't get explanations as to why. Or some other folks will say, oh no, because the number for Egun, which is ancestors, but that's yet another Yoruba terminology, so it comes out of Orisha traditions again, right? Um, that's ancestors to them. But again, yes and no. So yes, ancestors can absolutely reach the Boveda. They absolutely can, and they can get light and clarity at the Boveda. But this is again mixing Orisha traditions with Espiritismo, right? And again, we have these 9 glasses and no explanation as to what each one does. I've even heard of people in the past being told to set up less glasses. Oh no, you don't need the full 7. You could set 3. No, that's incorrect. Um, that's not how that works. If you need to drive a car and someone tells you, well, you know what? The full car is too much. How about you just get 3 tires and that'll be enough to get you to where you're going? How? How are these 3 tires and nothing else going to get me to where I need to go? No, I need the full car. I need to be able to get into the car, turn the key, turn it on, put it in drive, and go. If I just have three wheels, How does that help me go anywhere? I don't have a complete car. Um, so that's a problem. Um, Less than seven is a problem. Don't do it. You are missing so many different categories of spirits that are necessary for your spiritual progress when you don't put the bare minimum of seven. Now, you can go from seven up to nine, but when you do, it's A, because the Spirit specifically instructed you to, and B, because you know exactly what those additional glasses are doing. Um, I've seen more along the lines of going from seven up to eight, and then from eight up to nine, and we just keep adding like that as the spirits go needing. I've never really seen someone go from seven straight to nine. Um, but it is absolutely possible to end up with the full nine, like what people practice, and it has nothing to do with Oya or Egu. It is everything to do with Espiritismo. So this is something that you got to watch out for when you're seeing other people's bovedas, other people's altars, and you start counting the glasses. If you start seeing that there's too few or too many, you you really want to start asking questions. Um, and the reasoning behind this is because keep in mind, while Espiritismo is open to everyone, so are the spiritual consequences to bad practice, right? So let's say, for example, someone is doing a misa and they don't practice Espiritismo right. They're terrible at it, right? Um, Within their misa, they could be invoking energies that are negative. And here's the thing, since they don't know how to practice right, they're also not revoking those energies. So they're not sending them away after the Misa. So then the people that attended now have an attachment of a negative energy to them. And this is a very bad thing because these attachments usually take, a whole lot of work to remove. So this is why it is so important to pay attention to the details of what exactly people practice within Espiritismo, what their bóveda looks like, why it's set up this way. You want to ask questions, right? And if they don't have some logical answers as to why they do this, there's a problem. So, for example, I could tell you the names of the seven commissions. There is far from the left, there is the Indian Commission. So it's called that. It's for Native American or First Nations type of spirits that identify as this. And the reasoning for it is because you have to remember a lot of our folks were brought here, but this was not our native land. So we're giving veneration and due respect to the correct owners of this land. So in doing this, we gain their blessings, we gain their respect and their authority to work our spirituality on their lands. So then moving forward, whenever there is a spiritual problem, the original owners of this land gave us the authority to work here. How many others can say that? Then we have the medical commission. The medical commission is really a category that it includes any and all spirits that identify as healers. So it could be from a doctor to a shaman to a healer to any kind of spirit that identifies as healing. Then we go down to the ancestral commission. See, a lot of people that practice Espiritismo and they don't know what's going on do not acknowledge that there is an ancestral commission. So this category is specifically about your ancestors, on whichever side of your family tree, on whichever side of your bloodline. It does not matter. All of your ancestors are able to come here and get light and clarity so long as they approach with good intentions. Then you have the biggest cup, the biggest glass. That one's called the most holy. And that commission is specifically geared towards collecting all the light and clarity and radiating it outwards towards all the other cups or glasses, almost like the nuclear reactor of the altar. So then now we cross, that's the middle point. So now we're crossing over to the right side. And the most immediate one there is, I believe, the harvester. I usually get the harvester and the development ones mixed up, but I believe that one's the harvester. Now, harvester is the one that actually absorbs negativity around that altar, and it destroys it by turning it to light and clarity. So having a Bovida within a household, while it may not be the be all end all cleansing, it's not something that's going to, absolutely destroy everything. It does help keep negative energies at a lower amount. It helps you with your upkeep, your spiritual hygiene. Having a properly established Bovida helps destroy negative energies within the household. That's regardless of who brought them in, regardless of how long they were there, regardless of anything. The Bovida Harvester Commission, that specific category of spirits, they roam the house, that energy roams the house looking for negative energies and then bringing it towards the altar and turning it towards the light. So it goes destroying that negative energy. Then there's the Development Commission. The Development Commission is a category of spirits or energies um, that specifically works with the spiritual development of the people that use that altar, the people that stand at that altar, the people that sit at that altar, and any spirit that may come to that specific glass for their own personal development. So let's say, for example, someone has a family member that passed in a very violent way, and they're still roaming the earth. They are still not elevated. They still have not come to terms with their own death. This is what we would call something along the lines of like a perturbed spirit. Um, this perturbed spirit or this hardened spirit needs to develop. They need development. They need to go towards the light, remove that negative energy, gain light energy so that then they can help the people that they love. And how you do this is this spirit will see this development glass and they will go towards it. And the other spirits that are there that identify as developmental spirits, they will help that spirit and assist them towards the light and they will help them do better. Now, in a person, these are the spirits that when you're at a misa and you say something and someone agrees with your message and they respond luz. Luz is Spanish for light. So when they say loose, those spirits grant you light. And this is how you continue to sharpen and level up your spirituality because you go delivering messages and people go wishing light upon you. And when they wish light upon you, these spirits grant you that light. Um, so that's the development glass or cup, however you want to call that. And then the very final one on the right is the African Commission. Now, this commission was actually very interesting because a lot of folks that have a Boveda and practice Espiritismo have some sort of African ancestry. But the issue is that we had mixed ancestries. So, for example, we would have some part Yoruba, some part Bantu, um, and so there wasn't any one real way where we can sit down and grant light and clarity to all of our African ancestors. So some people went down the path of initiating into various traditions just to help those ancestors that they do have. Other people decided to practice Espiritismo and pray to their various African ancestors from various different countries and various different tribes um, at the Boveda so that they can all equally come to this glass as equals. No one is better than no one else. No one is a favorite. Come here and get this light and clarity so that then I can embark in whatever tradition I resonate with. So let's not make it so that I have to initiate into several traditions I might not resonate with. Let's make it so that I can attend to you without having to do that, without having to resort to that. And we do that by the usage of that cup or that glass. Now, something of note is a person once asked me, well, how do you know which glass these spirits belong on? And the answer is, you don't. Sometimes you do, but not always. And there isn't one glass that they have to be at. Um, these spirits can bounce around these glasses however they see fit, and quite frankly, they could be members of different commissions at the same time. For example, if you had a great grandfather that was a Munanganga, uh, he would be part of the African Commission, but he would also be on the Medical Commission, but he would also be on the Ancestral Commission, and he might even be a part of the Development Commission. So that one spirit has however many different light beams on them helping them. Um, so the whole object of this, right? The whole setup of the altar is to give every kind of spirit some sort of ability of getting light and clarity, um, while at the same time having them give you light and clarity, and you having the ability to lead your life without having to walk down their same mistakes. You can go ahead and make yours, make your own unique mistakes. And maybe not mistakes, maybe you do make the right choice. But the point is, I am not, this or that family member that, was in this or that tradition. I just don't resonate with it. I respect that family member. I love that family member, but I don't resonate with that tradition. So I shouldn't have to be forced to initiate into that tradition. I can go ahead and give them lots of love and clarity here at this altar and then proceed into the tradition that I do resonate with. So that's the Boveda altar in a nutshell. Now, prayers and songs and religious symbolisms. So the Boveda uses a lot of Christian symbolism, and I've had people ask me a lot about that. So you have to remember, Mesa Blanca Espiritismo was introduced to the world in a time where any kind of spirituality was of the devil. It was persecuted. So a lot of Espiritismo is dealing with Christian prayers or Christian songs or um, some sort of Christian, symbolism. And it's not a wholehearted, we are Christian kind of belief. It is a, this is what we had to do, this is what we had to be in order to overcome persecution. So a lot of these prayers that you do hear, the people saying those prayers are not exactly wholeheartedly Christians, um, but they do know of these prayers because of the tradition and the practice of Mesa Blanca Espiritismo. For example, Catholic saints, you will see these on some altars. People do tend to put little pictures of, their favorite saint or a tiny little statue. I don't agree with this practice, for the record, because now you're mixing things again, and mixing is never a good idea. I personally prefer the person set up a whole different altar for that Catholic saint. If that's the route they want to go down, set up a whole different table for that person or that being, and then have your Boveda be exclusively for your spirits and whatever ancestors do decide to come here. Um, I've also been asked, because I do know, let's just say, more than enough hoodoos. I've been asked which altar is better, and my honest answer is neither. I don't believe in better. So there's no such thing as better from my perspective. There is what resonates and what doesn't, what works and what doesn't. So there's also this whole saying that I learned at a very young age, and that is that you never leave an old friend behind for a new one. So if this whole time, your whole life, you've been praying to your ancestors behind an ancestor altar, the move is not to take down your ancestor altar. No, no. The move is if you want to set up a bóveda for Espiritismo, that's additional. That's a whole new member on the team. But the team should not be, I guess, erased in favor of the bóveda or the Espiritismo. Now, it can be done. If you feel like this is necessary, go for it. But it is not a requirement. And if anyone ever tells you that to set up a bóveda, you have to destroy your ancestor altar, or you have to take down your Santa Muerte, or anything like that, um, run, get out. Just get out. That's not a good place for you to be. Um, but yeah, so that's the Bóveda Espiritismo, and thank you guys for listening. And I actually got a lot of positive feedback on the first episode. Um, so if you can, go over to my Twitter. My at is Tata Rompepecho. Um, Maybe drop some suggestions for what you would want to hear in the next episode. Keep in mind, my next episode is going to be next Friday, so I'm doing one a week. Um, so that gives me plenty of time to see what you guys want to hear on and produce the next episode. But thank you very much. I appreciate all the feedback, and y'all have a good night.